Welcome in to Rooster Rant. Today is Sunday, November 16th, and today is Alex Jones' birthday. So while we have a lot to rant about tonight, we will also we all wish you the biggest happy birthday, Alex. You know, everything you do for the Big Spur, everything you do for this show, you've become one of my very, very best friends. So happy birthday.
Well, I appreciate it. I think this is the second Rooster Rant that we've had this year with a birthday going on that was not coming off of a South Carolina win. But otherwise, I appreciate it. It's been a whole lot of fun being on here and appreciate everybody being on here tonight.
Yeah, well, yeah. Next year, can we just move our birthdays to not during football season?
Yeah, so I guess next year mine will be on a Monday. So hopefully we'll have better news after that one.
Honestly, give me like July 26th. I just want nothing going on, so you can fully enjoy it. But unless you live under a rock, the Gamecocks had their best half of the year. Alex, just no doubt about it. Got up to a 30-3 lead on the number 3 team in the country in their house, and it was one of those things where, number one, I want to say the Gamecocks were playing extremely well on both sides of the ball. But number two, a lot of things happened that were very uncharacteristic for Texas A&M, where it just seemed like it was going to be one of those days. And the announcer said it a lot. Shane Beamer versus ranked teams in the month of November, and Shane Beamer against top 5 teams in the month of November. Well, it looked like it was going to happen again yesterday, Alex, but it just didn't. So we're going to talk all about that. You know, obviously this is a heartbreaking loss for Gamecock fans. You needed all 3 of these last 3 games of the season to make it to a bowl. Try and salvage some part of your season that's been just utter misery through this point. But the Gamecocks, as you well know, lost 31-30, 28 unanswered points. And we're going to talk all about that here tonight. So it's time for Rooster Rant.
The barnyard's fired up or down in the dumps. Rooster's high, Rooster's low. It's college football, don't you know? Either way, let's go. Let's talk about it. Let's scream and shout it. Let's fire everybody fast. Or celebrate, it's Rooster Rant. Now here's a late night Gamecock. Matt Anderson and the pride of Hampton County, Alex Jones, and all of you on Rooster Rant.
So, Alex, I think the burning question on everyone's mind right now is, what the heck did we all just witness yesterday? Like we mentioned off the top, the game could not have gone better for South Carolina. You have a 17-3 lead after the first quarter. Your Lenore Sellers is dropping 50-yard bombs to Vandrika during Vandrevis Jacobs. The defense is scoring touchdowns. And look, I'm going to give JB a lot of credit. All last week, he said if you put Marcel Reed in situations where he's uncomfortable, good things can happen for the other team. And boy, it did. Alex, you know, you're not the only one, but I was getting a lot of Sam Darnold images sent to me, like he was seeing ghosts. I dropped touchdown passes, field goals, doinging off the goalpost. It was one of those situations where everything went right for the Gamecocks and everything went wrong for the Aggies for one half of football.
Yeah, I mean, what a tale of 2 halves. Like it's one of those where, you know, I was thinking back to it during that first half. It kind of felt like it was a little bit of a different game, but the Oklahoma game last year where Saka just came out and dominated early in that game. And, you know, even at that Oklahoma game, you kind of felt, because Oklahoma had some issues offensively coming into that game, that they weren't coming back into it. But, you know, at 30-3 at halftime, you still kind of felt like, all right, South Carolina, this one isn't over. They're going to have to keep battling because A&M's got a lot on the line, SEC championship, playoff berth, all that undefeated record. They're going to continue to fight in this one, and they did. And they came out, and the key, for South Carolina was you had to get a stop on the first drive and then do a little bit of something on that first offensive drive. And it just didn't happen. And the momentum just kept building and building and building for A&M. And it just completely felt like South Carolina had no momentum in that half on both sides of the ball. And then hitting those deep passes after deep passes, like A&M just took over in that one. And it was just nuts that type of collapse. It was just unreal.
Well, everybody's seen the statistic. The statistic is ridiculous. Since 2004, I think it was 294 or 274 or 204
in that range.
Yeah, 200 plus games had a 27-point differential between the two teams, and South Carolina now becomes the first team to ever give up that kind of lead. It's utterly maddening. Look, Alex and I don't enjoy having to do these shows on Sunday night. We wish the Gamecocks were winning. It sucks to have to come do this show after crap like this. Harrison has it here in the comment box. The number's now 1 in 286. It's a damning number that I can't fathom. How it happened. I mean, look, my hat's off to A&M and what they did in the second half. I mean, Alex, after kickoff to start the second half, right?
Mm-hmm.
A&M's in 4th and 12 at their own 48. And it's like, okay, well, it's just not A&M's day.
Yeah.
And Marcel Reed finds that little pocket, gets the necessary yards, first down. Before you know it, they score a touchdown. Okay, 30-10. Can live with that. You weren't going to hold them probably without a touchdown the whole game, right? And then right after that, Gamecocks completed a 25-yard pass. All right, well, Sellers is still in the groove. They had an opportunity to really kind of put them away. I do think if they had scored a touchdown on that drive, probably would have put them away. But go for it on 4th down, don't get it, and boom, A&M scores again. Boom.
Yeah,
3-0.
Obviously, the pass defense was an issue, but they in the first half the defensive line was just getting pressure after Marcel Reed. Felt like in that second half the pressure was not there on Reed, and he had a clean pocket for the most part, and that's what's allowing him so much time in the pocket. And you're right, that 4th and 12 was just kind of the it's hard to say that's the difference just because it was still a 27-point game at that point, but that's when the momentum really started building for A&M, and South Carolina could just never slow it.
When it got to 30-24. I knew they were going to lose. Like I think everybody in South Carolina knew it was going to lose. It's hard because you see that 0 and 290, 284, 286, whatever the stat is, and it takes me back to 96, 97 in basketball, Alex, when the Gamecocks were a 2 seed in the NCAA basketball tournament, and they became the first 2 seed, I believe, to ever lose to a 15 seed, if not the first, the second. It's one of those things that you're seeing more and more common now. And look, maybe in the coming years, you're going to see more 27-point meltdowns with NIL and the transfer portal and more balance in teams, but it doesn't make it any better today. And it didn't make it any better yesterday. I mean, knowing I had to do this show, Alex, after the game, I was like, I'm going on a walk. I'm going on a walk, took the dogs out. I mean, I just decided to randomly check the air pressure in all the car tires. I mean, I was just like, I'm doing anything
to take your mind off of it.
Yeah, because it's so maddening. And, Alex, when you do what we do, it's not just on message boards that, you're trying to have conversations with people, but I'm sure you got hit up by 20 people yesterday. And, some people you haven't talked to in years. And it's like, what do you want me to say? I wasn't there. I didn't play, but the frustration is just so there. And look, Gamecocks had a chance at the end of the game, even after A&M made it 31-30. And for all the people that said the defense quit or something like that, I mean, there are people that have said that. The defense didn't quit when they forced the 4th turnover of the game and they had to get the ball back. And a chance where A&M was going to go into the end zone to win the game walking away. That would have been 31 unanswered or 35 unanswered points.
After watching that play, I was like, either of these teams want to win this game because it's just that play call. It's like, man, what is that play call? And then you're giving the team a chance in that game. But I mean, that was an interesting play call. But it just felt like at that moment, like, who does either team want to win this game right now?
And I mean, Alex, we're kind of talking about this. The Gamecocks had 312 yards of offense in the first half. They had 76 yards of offense in the second half. And look, Mike Furry was being first time Power 5, Power 4, whatever you want to call it, SEC coordinator. What he drew up in the first half, man, just capitalized on everything Texas A&M did wrong. It was beautiful. And it was another damning thing because every fan out there, anyone watching this game is like, what the heck was the head coach doing for the first 8 games of the season, 10 games of the season, whatever it is. And then I can't explain what happened in the second half. I'm still doing digging. I don't know what happened. I mean, in my mind, Alex, I was thinking in my head, all right, get one more touchdown, one more field goal. This game is probably over. If you can get 10 more points, I think you're going to win by 20. And it just didn't happen. But I also thought, like, okay, you get one more touchdown, maybe get this up to a 34, 37 point lead. Then you go into just kill clock. Just kill clock. Like they don't have enough opportunities to score. But that third quarter was just a German blitzkrieg, man.
Yeah, it felt like, for one, I'm interested here just to see more about what from a just a play calling standpoint, things like that. But one interesting thought, you saw early in the game, you saw Jawarn Howell, really in that game a lot. I think he had like 30 yards or so in those carries, and he was one that you hadn't seen a whole lot of him early in that game. And then you just didn't see a whole bunch more of him, which I thought he could have seen more. But it just got to the point where it felt like Texas A&M adjusted to what South Carolina was doing. Plus, I'm just from a play calling standpoint, but then. It's going to be interesting to see, just because I think, when you look back at it, there's just so many opportunities that were missed, and there were some third down throws that were missed too. Like, it was just a culmination of things.
It was. And, I'm just going through the chat box here, and guys, it's coming in hot and heavy, and I totally get it. I absolutely get it here. I will say, A&M, those guys stayed in it, and they believed, and they had, I don't put a lot of stock in these sideline meetings between position groups and offenses when you're getting your ass handed to you. But yesterday, it actually meant something. We have people saying over after the fourth down conversion, blowing that lead is most certainly a fireable offense on top of being 3-7. Absolutely. Do you know if Tree played yesterday, Alex? I wasn't sure if he did. I think he did.
They stuck with the 5 offensive line. They had Shed Surratt starting at right tackle, and they
I
stuck
didn't know
with
if he
that.
got him on special teams.
Not that he may have on special teams, but just from an offensive line standpoint. This person said I'll push back on the notion that the 4th and 12 A&M conversion won them the game. I agree. It didn't, but it just, you had to capitalize after that, Harrison. And you know that just as well as I do. I think that's what you're saying. And that his comment on the 4th and 1 is really good too. Like, that's the 4th and 1 we missed was more significant in my opinion. I agree. Like, that was a play call. Like, I think it was coming out of a timeout too. Like, it just felt like up the middle just hasn't been the strength. It felt like there could have been something better there.
Yeah, and look, man, I don't understand for the life of me how on 4th and 1 the ball is not in Lenore Seller's hands. I don't understand that. You need 1 yard, and he rushed for 28 yards yesterday. I don't know how many times he got sacked, but I mean, and we can talk about the end of the game too. I don't know what the heck Lenore's was thinking. Just decided, well, game's over, I guess. I mean, you gotta give your team a chance. You never know what's going to happen when the ball's up in the air. Eddie Blackburn said seems players fed off coaches also. Beamer looked deflated after they scored a couple times. Yeah, and look, Shane, and we're going to talk a lot about Shane here in a little bit. I promise you that, everybody. But Shane he has to stop celebrating like a fan. He has to. And I understand getting your team going, all of that kind of stuff, but you can't have an end of the first quarter interview like he had, where we beat them by 24 last year, not surprised, and then lose the game with a 27-point lead. Like, optics matter, and I've been around a lot of Gamecock football teams, and people always talk about like the 0-11, the 1-10, the 21 game losing streak, but there was accountability with the coaches then, it seemed like to me. And there just seems like there's not a lot of accountability. So that's really hurting Shane with the fans. And look, I know that the people that are going to be in Williams-Brice Stadium next weekend or this upcoming weekend to watch South Carolina do battle with Coastal Carolina, the fans that are going to be in there to watch South Carolina versus Clemson, those aren't the fans that are watching this. They're not the fans that are on social media, and they're not the fans that are on the Big Spur. But this is that slow snowball that starts rolling down the hill, and eventually it's going to reverberate and it's going to get really, really bad. Looking at, Cam says we don't run with our 240-pound quarterback on 3rd and 1. Yeah, absolutely. Less than 80 yards of offense in the second half. Yeah, I touched on that a little bit ago. End of half, Shane should have called timeout earlier and gone for TD. Alex, let's talk about that. I think we need to. In the post-game press conference, Shane Beamer said that he couldn't tell what was going on. He couldn't tell, the situation. I don't know why his eyes weren't staring at the clock and watching it tick and calling a timeout, but he didn't. It went from 17, 18 seconds to 11 or 12. Thoughts, Alex?
Yeah, it was strange just because the clock was running and watching it live and just watch it. It's like, well, go ahead and take a timeout. You need as much time as you can to get in the end zone. And I think kind of said post game, thought what he said about it being the pass being incomplete and just go, yeah. But to your point, that's exactly what I was thinking. I should have been on the clock watching that and go ahead and take that timeout because they needed it as a show. They needed every bit of that time.
Well, Rob's in here. This has the potential to be the most fiery Rooster Rant of the season. Rob, there's been quite a couple this year, my man. There's been quite a couple because, rational people can't make sense of this. And that's the hard part. And I do think that people in the Big Spur are rational. I think the folks in here are rational. I really do. And I understand the anger and the frustration that comes out after these types of losses because the energy has to go somewhere. And I'd much rather it go to a message board or here on this show, whatever, than like I always say, don't kick your dog. Don't be that jackass that hurts their family, that type of thing. But look, Harrison says in here, Shane's in-game management is horrific. And the reason we will never accomplish a ton of significance under his leadership. Hate to say that, but it's reality at this lobby. Yeah. Alex, I want to get your take on this. This has been a running conversation with people that I've talked to. Shane misses Pete Limbo more than anyone could ever have imagined, I think.
Yeah, I think Pete Limbo played a huge part in that with some of these in-game decisions just because he had been a head coach before, and then from a special team standpoint, he's, in those moments, he's either getting his group ready, but he has time to kind of sit there and kind of be that, associate head coach who can make those big decisions. And, I completely agree that it does feel like there has been a little bit of that.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I'm looking here. Hey, we reached our all-time yardage this year on offense. That's Eddie again. Yeah, new play caller. Fire Beamer. I get it. Yeah, I mean, Shane's record in games where the offense has 400 total yards is ridiculous. And the fact that the Gamecocks did not get there yesterday is atrocious. Look, A. Brow said Clayton White struggles to adjust defensively after halftime when other teams make the halftime adjustments. I think that he's done a decent enough job, but the problem is, and I'll say this for the people in the back louder, the biggest issue is just the offense is not giving any help. And when the offense did yesterday, look, I thought the defense was going to pin their ears back. They were going to smell blood in the water. And maybe they blitzed a little too much. Maybe they missed some assignments. Maybe it gave Marcel Reed that ability to scramble for the 4th and 12 and to see his receivers downfield and make those explosive plays. But, yeah, I mean, it's there is nobody in that locker room right now, Alex, that doesn't share in some of this blame. Not a single person, from the water boy all the way up to the head coach. And yeah, like we talked about 3 or 4 weeks ago, Alex, the buck stops with Shane Beamer.
Yeah, it was just yesterday, kind of we talked about at the top, like everything went right in all 3 phases to start that game. And then it was everybody in the second half. Everything went wrong. It wasn't just offense. It wasn't just defense. It wasn't just special teams. Like everything went wrong and everything is to blame for that.
Yeah, and SC Lawman in here has a really good point too. This is, Y'all, I'm 5 minutes behind on the comments. They're coming in fast and furious. I'm doing the best I can. But sadly, we don't have confidence that we can make a field goal from 40-plus yards. And, you had an opportunity for a 47-yard field goal that they didn't feel good about. Now, I will say in the third quarter, just like in the first quarter, and you saw the wind do something to the kicker for A&M as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they wanted to kick into that. I actually thought one of the better decisions Shane Beamer made yesterday, maybe the only one. I don't know how much say he had in the first half and those things, but I do think it was smart to play the second and fourth quarter with the wind at your back in case you needed it. And I thought that was a good move, but didn't even get the chance, right? Looking through here again. Yeah, I think someone's talking about Lenorson here. Queen of the Cocks, I love Lenorse, but he's not clutch with his arm. When he gets it tight in the end of the game, he only trusts his legs. I think it's just a bigger combination too of the offensive line not doing their best blocking and not giving him something. I mentioned Marcel Reed earlier and Sam Darnold seeing ghosts. Lenorse is seeing ghosts. He absolutely is seeing ghosts, and he can't trust anything. I liken this to being really daggum good at your job one year, hitting all your bonuses out of the park, and for some reason your ball is saying like, "Hey, let's cut this growth out," and that Lenorse has regressed in every way imaginable this year, and I didn't think it was possible.
Yeah, on the last play of the game or this last play of the games, like at that point, just throw it. Give you guys a chance there because, obviously running out of bounds didn't do any good, but just give your guys a chance. Throw the ball and see what they can do.
Yeah, I see other things in here too. Queen of the Cocks says, I don't care if he couldn't tell what's going on. He has guys in the press box for a reason.
I think that was just a communication thing too. Like, it should have been better communication.
Yeah, and I think people get mad about that comment that Shane made for one reason, Alex. Like, you're the head coach. Like, you can't blame communication. That stuff should have been fixed. I'm not joking when, like, they're doing this stuff at practice. Like, they have our clock. They have officials. They have scrimmages. Like, this stuff should have been ironed out. Just looking through here, Roger said, people got to vent, Rob, LOL therapy. Yeah, exactly. This is therapy. We're here for everybody. Like I said, don't be a jackass and hit your wife or your kids or anything like that, or kick your dog. I wonder how many other schools out there would take 2 out of 3 years, no bowl, extension the head coach for 9-4, and a blown 27-point lead on the road against the number 3 team. It's hard to fathom. And Queen does say LSU, Florida, PSU, Auburn are all better jobs than South Carolina, probably. But you got to, all right, Alex. We're going to talk about this after the sponsor break. But so, guys, just so y'all know, guys and gals, we are going to talk about Shane's future. I promise we're going to talk about it. But trying to get through these comments here. No other school would let this continue. Shane literally used the states of Texas as an excuse, saying it must be yeah. I'm telling you, he can work on what he says in press conferences. Absolutely. Scott, you have a good point. What is Beamer's expertise then? Asking for a friend. This one's really good. Alex Grover says you can buy Coastal tickets with Monopoly money. It's at McDonald's right now.
I'm interested to see kind of what attendance is going to look like for the Coastal Carolina game. I think you expect the Clemson attendance will be fine, but it's going to be interesting with this Coastal game.
Yeah. Alex, this one's funny. I love Boaz's effort, but for the love of God, enough already. Yeah, it does seem like when Boaz Stanley's in the game, bad things happen. Now, if you ask the coaches inside the building, you ask, anybody around with the offensive line has a lot of injuries. They're doing the best they can. Fired an offensive line coach midway through the season, all of that. SC Lawman says next year there'll be a lot of vacancies too. Jeff's in here understanding everyone's frustration, and it's definitely valid. We played great in the first half with an OC who hasn't called plays since high school. It showed in the second half, and that was the reason for the collapse. Jeff, he did call plays at Limestone, if you're talking about Mike Furry, and he was very successful there. But I agree. I give Texas A&M you have to give Texas A&M a lot of credit, Alex. You can't have this conversation without giving them credit. They made adjustments. I mean, Mike Elko, like when his halftime interview was, we're gonna go fix it.
Mm-hmm.
By God, if they did.
It would have been easy for that team to say, well, it's not our day, but they didn't. And he said it, how they're going to come out and be more physical, and they were. Like, they just came out and kind of what talking about with the, the pressure. Like, South Carolina felt like could get any pressure on Marcel Reed. And the one time they did, I think it was Okoronkwo came up the middle and got to Reed, but had the running back dump off right there. Like, it was just a complete 180 for both teams at halftime.
Yeah, I mean, Marcel Reed threw 3 interceptions in the game, could have had 6 in the first half.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Harrison said, I would argue the constant fourth quarter collapses or inability to score in the fourth quarter means we're way farther away than we need to be. Look, I think most fans, if they hear Shane Beamer say one more time, we had the lead in the fourth quarter, they're going to pop an aneurysm because this isn't a 3-quarter game. It's not a 2-quarter game. It's not a 1-quarter game. You don't get an extra touchdown if you have a lead in the second half just because you have a lead. That's not how the game works. So I understand why Shane's doing it. He's trying to salvage the recruiting class. That's what he's doing. How that all plays out, we'll see. Shane and the coaching staff has been really good at retaining these players. There is not, I will say this, Alex, and I really, really mean it. There are maybe 4 or 5 coaching staffs I remember since I've been following recruiting that have held together a recruiting class during a season like this. Mm-hmm. And who knows, maybe some donors are just saying, hey, we'll give more money. But, Shane's done it before. That top 15 class. Queen of the Cocks said we had a great week of practice. We had a chance in the fourth quarter. These guys fought. Yeah, I know, Queen. We can all do it. It's a running joke. And, but before we go to our commercial break, I think this sets it up perfectly, Alex. I actually had a conversation with somebody at halftime, and I just said, Shane Beamer is going to be on another level in the press conference after this game with keeping receipts. It was going to be epic, and I firmly believe at halftime Shane was thinking about his post-game speech. I do. I like Shane. I like him a lot. Like, that's the hardest part about this. I like Lenore Sellers a lot. I like all these coaches a lot, but it has not worked this year. And unfortunately, the buck stops with Shane Beamer. Look, when Shane Beamer was hired, Alex, I said it, Alex. I said, look who he's coached for. If there's anybody ready to take a head coaching job at South Carolina, it's Shane Beamer. Now, my tune has completely flipped on that now. It's not that Shane Beamer wasn't the right candidate at the time, and it's not even like this experiment didn't work. It's just I now realize way more than I did before. You have to be an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator if it's going to be your first time job. You have to have been a coordinator at one of those spots. And right now, if they do make a move from Shane Beamer, be it this year, tomorrow, the next day, next year, whatever, you have to find a head coach, a sitting head coach, number one, and it has to be somebody in this day and age of the SEC. You have to score points. You have to have contingency plans when things don't work, season in, season out, game in, game out. And look, Mike Elko, defensive guy, right? Yeah. But I mean, goodness gracious, like that's a head coach right there. That's a head coach. And the Lane Kiffins of the world, could South Carolina have got him? Maybe. And that's just where we sit right now. But all right, guys, we got to take a quick break to hear from our sponsors. And we come back, we're going to talk about Shane Beamer's future at South Carolina.
Morning, Carl. Usual?
Yeah.
Your oldest was in here the other day. Said the two of you took a trip down to my neck of the woods. How'd that go?
You might as well give me one of those Carolina cards while you're at it.
I knew I liked that one.
Yeah.
There you go, my friend.
Thanks.
Hey, Carl. Congratulations.
See you tomorrow, Freddie.
You bet.
JC Sherbert here had a brilliant idea that some good friends of mine in Florence have told me about. Next time you're having a wedding or an event or anytime you got to feed a bunch of people, Talk to my friends over at Flavortown Eats and Events. That's right. It's a food truck / trailer, prepares the food fresh on site right there for you. No hassle. It's absolutely delicious. They'll come out, turnkey solution to feed the masses at your event. Go to their website right now. flavortownflow.com. That's flavortownflow.com. They have all the contact information you need, and they are a proud sponsor of the Late Night Gamecock Show and the Chief Sports Network.
Welcome to Palm Casual Patio Furniture. Because we are the factory, Palm Casual has the ability to offer the highest quality outdoor furniture paired with world-class service. Since 1979, our factory showrooms have done our best to make the buying process as easy as possible for our customers. Our understanding of the many factors that go into your decision has helped us create our 30-day trial period that increases the level of comfort our customers feel during the shopping experience. Visit us in Somerville, Mount Pleasant, Myrtle Beach, and Bluffton, and online at palmcasual.com for our products and out-of-state locations. Go Gamecocks!
This is the Late Night Gamecock Show with the pride of Hampton County, Alex Jones. And with the king of late night, Matt Anderson. Go Gamecocks!
All right, guys, we're back in here. As you can imagine, fans have completely melted down so much that Alex Jones had to go get a power charger for his computer because he can't keep up with it. But Alex should be back here shortly. Look, and talking about these fan reactions, like they're completely warranted. I'm never going to be the person to tell a fan to shut up or not say what they want to say because I value everyone's opinions, and I hope that people value my opinions, right? So it's just one of those things. Sorry, Alex isn't here to highlight this, but Scott, that is the line of the show. Carl won't send his kid to Carolina after that train wreck. LOL. Scott, way to go. That is top notch. That's a gold medal right there. So yeah, the fan base is in complete meltdown, right? Absolutely. Shock, anger, resentment. The vocal majority of the fans are over it. Fans are calling out players. For me, I'm going to side with the players 80 to 90% of the time, unless it's just absolutely clear as day. They're throwing a game. They're not giving their all of that kind of stuff. And then fans call out coaches. Like, I have no problem with fans calling out coaches. And the reason is because coaches, like, look, Shane Beamer makes $8 million a year. I think Shane truly cares about this program, like deeply cares.
Yeah.
You can see it on his face, and if you have an interaction with him, I mean, you'll see it. It's real, but at the end of the day, this is Shane's fourth, fifth year at South Carolina, Alex. At this point, you've recruited every player on the roster, either from the transfer portal or from high school. You've had the benefit of cycling through players that weren't going to contribute with the transfer portal. You've been able to – you are responsible for developing these players. Whatever you saw in them in high school, you have to go get it out of them, right? And that's not happening. So Shane Beamer's seat is hotter than it's ever been. And I think Tony Morrell said it best. If you're on the Big Spur, and Alex, you probably call it Tony's game thoughts. But Tony Morrell said, if you had told me on Monday that South Carolina would lose 31-30 on the road to the number 3 team in the country, and Shane Beamer's coaching hot seat would be hotter than it was last week, he wouldn't believe you. But when something hasn't happened 286 times and it happens to you, and it's a continuing process or a continuing theme of your coaching, then yeah, I'm going to blame the coaches. I'm going to blame the coaches when a team scores 30 points against the number 3 team in the country on the road in the first half and can't finish the game. I don't think that's on the players. Well, your thoughts, Alex, there first.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And, obviously, we're talking about Shane Beamer's future. Like, I think, well, first go on your question. Like, I think, just the offensive inconsistencies throughout the tenure have been a little bit troubling. They just haven't fully been, they've had kind of spots like the last year, 2024, to end the year. They had really good year. Things started to quit with Norris Sellers, but just overall, just the offensive inconsistencies. And then now, having to hire an offensive coordinator going into next season, you just wonder, like, you're going to have roster retention. It's just going to be a lot of things that have to go right into next season. You're going to have to nail the offensive line hire. You're going to nail the offensive coordinator hire. A lot of things are going to have to go right going into this next year. It's just going to be interesting to see how the all season goes, just because there's going to be a lot of things that have to go right.
Yeah, and let's go ahead and get into this conversation here. Hayne Painter 1818 says, Matt and Alex, would y'all agree that Beamer will get another year? If so, how does he recover? Well, I think Alex answered some of those questions there. I would say things are different. Things have changed since yesterday morning. Things have changed drastically in the last 24 or 36 hours. I've said for a long time, and Alex, I think you agree with me, the $27 million buyout is not going to be the issue for Shane Beamer to be no longer the head coach of South Carolina. They'll get the money. They're not worried about that. But I do think that as an athletic director, you have to ask yourself, okay, who can I get? And I understand that right now a lot of the fan base thinks anybody would be better than Shane Beamer. Well, you might be right, honestly. At this point, after, again, I'll say it, 286 games, 84 games, whatever it is. No other coach in SEC since 2000 or 2004 has that happened to. But you have to make sure that you have the guy, because it's going to be another 5-year contract. It's going to be continuing to pump more money in. The next coach will get paid more than Shane Beamer, most likely, if not the same amount, right? So you have to make sure your investment is right. So I would say that the calculus has changed. I don't think he's coaching for his job against Coastal and Clemson, but buddy, don't lose them. I'm just telling you, don't lose those games.
That's kind of, I'm honestly right exactly where you're. I think you nailed it right on the head. That's exactly where I'm at with this right now.
Yeah, I mean,
I just think with the way things went yesterday, that just, that's just feel that just can't happen. That type of game just can't happen, and that I'm certainly didn't help.
Yeah, you just have to, you have to know who you're going to get. And what Shane said on his teleconference tonight, he has 13 games left with this team. And, I think that someone said he'll fix it next year. Carolina Titans said that. Look, I'm just going to tell you, when coaches start saying things like, I have 13 days left with this team, and you start talking about next year, whether you're a coach and you believe it or not, if those words come out of your mouth, you're not safe. I don't care. You're not safe. If I were to say, well, I got 26 days left in this year, I'll fix it next year. Like, I'm probably not going to have a job next year, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, look, Shane knows what he has to do. He knows he has to nail offensive coordinator. And look, Shane has a Rolodex of coaches that he's bounced probably ideas off of at this point. And I don't think, despite Shane not really interviewing a lot of offensive coordinators so far, he's called people and has a general idea of who these guys are.
Yeah.
In college coaching, the interview is very important. I mean, there is a big reason that, oh gosh, what's his name? The old, Charleston Southern head coach. He went to, I think, Liberty or something.
Jamie Chadwell.
Yeah, there's a reason Jamie Chadwell has not gotten a Power 4 job. He doesn't interview well. But if you have a track record and all that, and you're a coordinator, that's different than being a head coach. So I do think that Shane has put his feelers out there. And again, I'm going to repeat what I said before. Shane's rocky place at South Carolina right now is going to have no impact on the next offensive coordinator. They're not going to be worried about that because they're the head coach at a smaller school that the next step is offensive coordinator anyway, or they're the offensive coordinator at a smaller school or an SEC school, and there's no path to being a head coach next year. Or there might be an offensive coordinator. There's like, we're going to lose so much talent next year. I need to move while I can. So I'm not worried about that. Now, do I have worry about Shane getting it right? Absolutely. You know what I mean? Like, I do have worry about that. You know, I'll tell you, like I mentioned this on the Big Spur the other day. I talked to some Arkansas folks, and Sam Pittman's contract was very much performance driven. And one of the reasons that he stepped down when he did is because they offered him the middle part of his buyout. His buyout was 1 if you had a winning season, and it was lower if you had a losing season. And they all got together, looked at it, and said, well, I'm probably going to have a losing season, so give me the middle number. I'll step away right now. You're going to fire me anyway. So
right.
Coaching contracts are out of control. I mean, I think someone mentioned it in here. It's pretty crazy. Now, people are saying nobody wanted Shane when we hired him. Yeah, you're right. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying that going back to your thing, that these buyouts that you're seeing out there are just crazy right now.
Yeah, they are. Scott saw somewhere yesterday, Beamer and Muschamp's records are almost identical so far. Yeah, look, Shane's tenure started out, on a Spurrier path of wins and SEC wins and all that. Well, it's not there anymore. Now it does look like Muschamp, and now you have 2 losing seasons out of your last 3. There's no coach alive that thinks they're safe 2 out of 3 losing seasons. Let's see. Harrison said this program in no way could have afforded a season like, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. That's the biggest embarrassment, really. When you think about what this team was preseason top 15, was in the top 10 in the country.
Just had so much momentum coming into this year, and so much expectations just have not been met, and that momentum just seems basically gone.
Yeah. Harrison said, I do like Shane, but he just doesn't do himself a lot of favors with how his team performs and how he manages the games. Yeah, and that's Harrison. That's the first line of your resume, right? How has your team performed, and how do you manage the games? How do you win? Very first question you're going to get asked in an interview. What's your vision? How are you going to do it? Someone says a couple things. Yeah, maybe we've seen this before. I mean, look, I made a post today that someone said, go ahead. Someone said, go hire James Franklin. I think James Franklin's the guy you hire to set up the next guy you're going to hire. And what I mean by that is, yeah, James Franklin's probably going to win 6-7 games a year minimum in the SEC. Maybe get to that 9-win season, 10-win season, one every 2 out of 5, 2 out of 6, 2 out of 7 years. And the poster was absolutely correct, saying, well, that's better than South Carolina's history. It is, absolutely. But what Gamecock fans want is to get back to the back-to-back 11-win seasons under Spurrier.
Yeah.
And I will say, for the first time since Spurrier, with NIL, with the transfer portal, with all that, you can do it. And with this rev sharing, look, people are still going to get paid under the table. They're going to get paid more. There's no enforcement there. But now you got $16, $17 million to go build a roster at minimum, and you can do it. So you have to find the coach that can take those players and get there. And, Alex, what was it? Was it before the LSU game we started talking about, okay, we don't think Shane's getting fired. We don't think this is last year at Carolina, but we had to start talking about it. So this isn't something that's a new thing for us on Rooster Rant or on the Late Night Gamecock show, to be quite honest. But look, the rest of the way, Alex, it's all hands on deck. It's keep the guys you can in the program that you want. But I'll also caution people, don't fall into the trap that Clemson did. And I've said this numerous times publicly. I didn't think Clemson was going to be a top 25 team this year, because I didn't think they were a top 25 team last year, and they had the same guys and the same coaching staff coming back. So at minimum, there's going to be a new offensive coordinator. There's going to be a new offensive line coach, probably. That there's probably going to be some other shakeups. From a coaching standpoint, you want to keep the guys that recruit well and coach well. And I think the Gamecocks do have some of them, but they got to learn to finish games. And in this era of college football, the same way, it's a double-edged sword. Well, hey, you can go win with the right coaches and the right players. Absolutely. Look at Florida State did a couple of years ago, right? They went from a middling team to maybe winning the national title if Jordan Travis didn't get hurt. But next year, you're going to have to teach these guys how to win in the fourth quarter again. There's not going to, or for the first time, I should say, there's not going to be any guys that can say, hey, this is how you do it.
Yeah, because that was one thing going into this season that you kind of worried about was just, a lot of the older guys that you had on defense were gone. Demetrius Knight, Debo Williams, Nick Emenwari, all those guys were gone. And that's the type of thing that helped you win those fourth quarter games. And this season they just have not been good at that. I mean, these fourth quarter games, Missouri, Alabama, you had the shot yesterday. And I mean, that was more of a third quarter thing because once the fourth quarter got there, you kind of felt. I think we all kind of knew where that one was probably going. But still, like some of those fourth quarter things, like it's just. Some of that, just kind of just leaders that they lost from that last year's team. It just feels like, they could never get to where that point this season where they brought that back just because it's just that. And that's kind of just what's killed this season too. There's been obviously the other things, but they just had so many opportunities in this game that they haven't been able to capitalize. And that's kind of led to where they are now.
And I think that, you mentioned it earlier, Alex, Carolina Titans all over it too here. There was no reason for this Gamecock team not to be challenging for the playoffs this year. There just wasn't. If you do the things that good coaches do, win the fourth quarter, win the games you should, progress. Like, I mean, it hurts. It hurts to cover this thing because I want all of you guys to be happy. All you guys and gals, I want you to be happy. I want the message board people to be happy. I want rainbows and, a pot of gold at the end of every rainbow on the message board and here for you guys. So, this part's frustrating. Next 13 days are going to tell a lot about Shane Beamer's future at South Carolina. You can't drop both of them. You can't. And pick your poison if you drop one of them. Really, Alex. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, pick your poison. You really need to. If Shane Beamer wants to feel good, he has to win both these games. And if he doesn't, I think there is a question. If this team loses to Clemson this year, with what Clemson has been this year at home, there are going to be people that are just sick of it. They're sick of it, and they will get the money together, and they won't care. And the next coach will have more money than Shane Beamer ever had. I'm just being point blank. So, And I'm not just talking about salary. I'm talking about to build a roster. I don't think Lenore Sellers is beyond saving. I still think he's going to be an NFL quarterback. He's still probably going to be a first, second rounder. If he comes back to South Carolina, you got to hope that a fresh start helps him. But at this point, you can't, Alex, tell me if you think I'm wrong here. You cannot worry about retention at this point. Like, you just don't care. Like, if a player leaves to go pro, if a player leaves to transfer, you don't care. It just opens up money in a spot.
Yeah, because I think you're going to have to see just an influx of players from the transfer portal. There's guys on this roster that you obviously want to bring back, but that's just what's going to be interesting about the offseason. It's just, what type of players can you bring in? Because you look back to, the 5-7 season 2 years ago, they did bring in a lot of players that helped lead to that resurgence last year. But are you going to be able to do that again? Because you really just struck gold with Kyle Kennard and Demetrius Knight and some of those guys that you brought in. You're going to have to be able to do that again, not only from a player standpoint, but then also with what you got to do from a coaching staff standpoint.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, this recruiting class is still really good, I think. I think there's some really good players in it. And if you lose recruits as well, if you're a Gamecock fan, you cannot get mad about it. Because as you all know, these kids aren't going to come in and dominate day one. Very, very rarely do freshmen dominate day one and, just become a future top 10 pick in the first 4 weeks of the season. Doesn't happen. So if kids leave from the recruiting class, more NIL money opened up. If kids leave from the roster, more NIL money opened up. And we all know there are plenty of kids in the transfer portal every year. You just gotta go find them, whoever the coaching staff is. So, Alex, man, I want to let you go. I know it's your birthday and you probably got some more celebrating to do, but man, thank you so much for popping on tonight.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for the birthday wishes and everybody in the comments too. Like, it's from a number standpoint, we've had a really good show, as we'd imagine we would. But I appreciate everybody coming on birthday wishes, and it's been I want to say, I was about to say it's been a fun show, but it's been good being back here. But wish it would have been a different outcome for us been talking about. But like Matt always says, we always appreciate everybody being on here and also being active in the chat. There's been a great comment section tonight.
Yeah, and look, this Rooster rant, this is for you guys and gals. It really is. This is something that Alex and I enjoy doing because in seasons like this, gotta get it out. Just get it out. But
Hey,
we'll be right.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Women's team had a great win last night in Los Angeles against Southern Cal. Basketball's getting rolling. Women's team, they're going to keep on rolling. Men's team got game Wednesday in Greenbrier this weekend. So it's a lot of basketball to talk about too.
Yeah, Alex, it's funny because I almost started the show. I guess we're only going to talk. Everyone's here to talk about the Gamecock women's basketball team being the real FC, right? But obviously, no, that was not the topic of conversation tonight. Alex, I'm pulling up the men's basketball schedule really quick because they do have a game Tuesday night against Radford. Go pack out the CLA. Seriously. This basketball team is really, really fun to watch. Then you have Butler Northwestern Thanksgiving week out there. That'll be a lot of fun. Or no, it's not Thanksgiving week, is it? It's the week before Thanksgiving. Then you got a little break. You got Charleston Southern. And look, we're excited to watch this basketball team, both on the men's and women's side. And we are very excited to see what happens over these next 13 days, because undoubtedly there will be a lot to talk about. And yeah, don't forget, the SEC Sunday night boys are coming on right after us. I'm sure they'll have some comments on South Carolina A&M game and then around the SEC, probably the ways that teams can get to the conference championship. And if you're going to the Coastal Carolina game, I encourage you to do so because it's still fun, still family time, all that jazz. And then Clemson's coming up, and who knows, maybe we'll have a Friday night Clemson game here pretty soon. But JC tomorrow, of course. JC will be on there on coffee, and I'm sure that'll be entertaining. Then you got JB coming on, that'll be entertaining. Then you get JC for a double feature like you do every weekday. So lots to talk about here. So thank y'all so much. We appreciate y'all. And with that, we're out. Talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.